Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Caitlin Burke. Donald Trump is once again blasting the mainstream media. The billionaire tycoon used a press conference in New York to rip reporters for what he calls unfair coverage of his efforts to raise millions of dollars for veterans. Trump's also under fire for his dealings in a university he started. George Thomas has all the details.
Donald Trump told reporters at a testy news conference that allegations that he's been less than honest about his donations to veterans groups were flatly wrong.
I'm the only one in the world could raise almost $6 million for the veterans, have uniform applause by the veterans groups, and end up being criticized by the press.
Trump then unloaded on the press.
Look, I find the press to be extremely dishonest. I find the political press to be unbelievably dishonest.
Criticizing them for even questioning his donations.
I'm not looking for credit, but what I don't want is when I raise millions of dollars, have people say, like this sleazy guy right over here from ABC. He's a sleaze in my book.
Why am I sleazy?
You're a sleaze because you know the facts, and you know the facts well. Go ahead.
Hillary Clinton pounced on Trump's press tirade, calling the billionaire's fundraiser for veterans a political stunt.
But it took a reporter to shame him into actually making his contribution and getting the money to veterans.
Trump is also facing controversy over his real estate school. A California judge released previously sealed internal documents showing how Trump University was run, with students paying up to $35,000 for real estate classes. But now some of the students are suing Trump, claiming fraud. The case, which Trump is expected to testify at, goes to trial just after the November presidential election. Trump says a judge in the case has been unfair and says he'll win the case. And Clinton faces her own challenges. The FBI is still investigating her over her use of a private email server. But even if she's indicted, a new poll, divided along party lines, shows voters want her to run anyway. 70% of Democrats said she should keep running, while only 30% of Republicans support the idea, and 46% of independents were against it. Despite their problems with the public, the polls still show basically a dead-even race, with Clinton leading Trump by 1 percentage point in the Real Clear Politics average. George Thomas, CBN News.
Talk of another presidential candidate has picked up steam in the last couple of days after conservative analyst Bill Kristol, the editor of the Weekly Standard, announced on Twitter Sunday night that, quote, there will be an independent candidate, an impressive one, with a strong team and a real chance. Bloomberg Politics is reporting rumors that the third-party candidate might be a columnist for the Weekly Standard named David French. Donald Trump fired back at Kristol, saying, if dummy Bill Kristol actually does get a spoiler to run as an independent, say goodbye to the Supreme Court. Some conservatives have opposed Trump because they don't believe he truly believes in their ideas. Others say a third-party candidate could split the Republican vote and lead to Hillary Clinton winning the election. Hillary Clinton, meanwhile, could face a challenge of a different kind in this year's election, the rising premiums from Obamacare. The Hill website points out those premiums are expected to go up more sharply this year than in previous years, and Republicans are using that as a campaign issue. Clinton has acknowledged that Obamacare prices are going up, but she still defends the law and its benefits. A Virginia transgender bathroom case is likely to head to the U.S. Supreme Court. That's because an appeals court has refused to rehear the case of Gloucester High School student Gavin Grimm. Grimm was born female, but now identifies as a male. His high school would not let him use the boys' restroom. A 3-judge panel of the Fourth Circuit Appeals Court ruled last month that the school discriminated against Grimm. A judge from that court is urging the Gloucester School Board to take the case to the Supreme Court, saying protecting students' rights to privacy is about protecting the most basic elements of human dignity. The judge wrote, forcing a person of one biological sex to be exposed to persons of the opposite biological sex profoundly offends this dignity and freedom. Turning overseas, the UN warns there are about 20,000 children trapped inside the Iraqi city of Fallujah. This as Iraqi troops and ISIS battle for control of the city. Fallujah has been under the control of ISIS for more than 2 years. A week ago, Iraqi government troops launched an operation to recapture it. Now, more than 50,000 civilians are believed to be trapped inside, many of them children. who face not only a dire humanitarian situation, but are also at risk of being forced to fight for ISIS. Israel faces constant threats of terrorism from its south, but it still must provide goods for Palestinians living in Gaza. As CBN's Julie Stahl reports, that often includes giving them materials that can be used against the Jewish state.
Palestinians claim the Gaza Strip is under siege from Israel. Yes, Israel and Egypt enforce a total blockade to prevent weapons from going to Hamas in that region, but it's far from a siege.
It's a little bit complicated, but unfortunately, it's not the border between Swiss and French.
Egypt closed its border with the Strip last year, leaving Israel as the sole provider for Gaza. This crossing, known as Kerem Shalom, serves as a lifeline for Palestinian Arabs in the Gaza Strip.
It's not a pleasant place. A lot of concrete, a lot of weapons, a lot of shelters, a lot of cameras, but the reason is that we have to serve innocent people, but they are from territory that we have threat, that been occupied by groups of terror.
Israel facilitates the passage of food, cooking fuel, building materials, and other necessities. Many Gazans are poor and unemployed, yet Gaza also benefits from this crossing because it can export vegetables, home goods, and scrap metal to Israel and elsewhere. Thousands of tons of goods are transported each day from Israel and moved through 12 giant rooms on this 160-acre plot.
We share the same rooms, but not the same hours. When we finish our procedures, we go outside and allow the Palestinian team that are nearby us take the goods to the Palestinian side.
Ami Shaked runs the Kerem Shalom crossing, where both Israelis and Palestinians work, but never see each other.
When you've been attacked hundreds times by groups of terror, trust is not the first stone that you put in this building. We don't try to build here relationship. We try to live under threat.
You might think that since Kerem Shalom is such a lifeline, that it would be spared, even protected.
This crossing point have a bad history with attacks. In 2008, it was totally destroyed by attack of Hamas groups. In 2012, it was attacked by Jihad Global from Egypt, and Egypt is not far away from here, it's 100 meters. And between these things, he was attacked by rockets and mortars from Gaza side.
In addition to attacks, there must be constant monitoring to prevent smuggling attempts that bolster the enemy.
I can tell you that in the last months, we captured two kinds of important chemicals. Let's say that they're enough for 5,000 rockets.
And that's not all. Israel says Hamas is stealing 95% of the cement intended to rebuild Gaza and using it to build tunnels to attack Israel.
We found our cement on tunnels underground inside Gaza.
In April, the army exposed a tunnel near Kerem Shalom intended to infiltrate Israel and attack civilians. About 60,000 Israelis live in this area around Gaza. Sharon Calderon is one of them.
This is something terrifying. We don't know when the terrorists are going to get out and from where.
Shaked pointed out that although Israel pulled out of Gaza in 2005, uprooting 9,000 Israelis in the process, attacks continue.
Israel, even under threat, do the best that she can to help the people of Gaza to live a normal life. But unfortunately, the most of the things are not in the hand of Israel.
That's why it's important that the international community somehow convinces the Gazans of the need to help themselves. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Kerem Shalom, Israel.
The president of Egypt is promising to bring justice to members of a Muslim mob who stripped an elderly Christian woman naked, then paraded her through the streets of a village. The attack came after a rumor that the woman's son had an affair with a Muslim woman. An armed mob of Muslims then attacked the 70-year-old woman, and they looted and torched 7 Christian houses. The president of Egypt said on live television that such attacks divide Egyptians, and he said the law must take its course. Coming up, counterterrorism training for law enforcement officers that's all too real. See why cops are lining up for this training, often on their own time and with their own dime. The governor of Mississippi says he's not backing down in the fight for religious freedom. Governor Phil Bryant shared those remarks as he got an award for signing a new bill into law. The measure would protect clerks who choose not to issue a marriage license to same-sex couples because of their religious convictions. Bryant says the bill is upsetting the, quote, secular progressive world, but that it's more important to take a stand. He says if it takes crucifixion, we will stand in line before abandoning our faith and our belief in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. The bill is set to become law July 1st. Americans know that a terrorist attack could happen at any time, anywhere. So local police departments are getting ready in case terrorists strike in their area. Chuck Holton visited one training program in Arkansas where police officers are being prepared for the worst.
In the wake of continuing terror attacks around the world, it's clear international terrorists are evolving to use ever more spectacular and brutal tactics. Coordinated attacks on multiple locations can quickly bring entire cities to a standstill and represent a nightmare scenario for any law enforcement agency. Just outside Little Rock, Arkansas, law enforcement professionals from across the country come to this 700-acre facility to find better ways to respond to such attacks. The Direct Action Resource Center, known as DARCY, has been developing counterterrorism techniques for 2 decades and offers a special course several times each year for law enforcement. Former Green Beret Rich Mason is the founder.
DARCY was started in 1996 as a way for special operation type forces, law enforcement and military, to get it kind of off campus, away from the flagpole, and to really focus cost-effective training. DARCY focuses mostly on things like urban warfare, counterterrorism, things along those lines. We have ranges for everything from sniper to pistol. We do concealed carry, low visibility operations, explosive breaching, things like that.
The law enforcement counterterrorism course brings in cops from all different agencies and throws them together in a chaotic, hyper-realistic scenario from day one.
This course is designed to defeat a multi-cell attack, similar to Paris, but actually worse in scale.
One of the things that makes DARCY training so effective is that they have the cops bring their same equipment that they would take on their real calls. So the SWAT guys bring their same body armor, the same helmets, gas masks, and even weapons. And there's one important difference, though, and that's this little blue bolt that goes in their weapon while they're here. This is modified to only fire plastic bullets. The reason why that's important is because the OPFOR, or opposing forces here, are all live guys, and they're shooting back at you with these same plastic bullets. Now, this isn't paintball. These things really hurt, and the point is, when you get hit, you know it. That makes the training painful, but very realistic.
Yeah, this training is very important because it puts everything in a context for law enforcement. The aggressive nature of something like a lone wolf attack with multiple guys, a multi-cell attack, is different than day-to-day, I guess what they call routine law enforcement operations, even for tactical units.
It's mass chaos initially because you're going to get reports coming from a bunch of different directions about a bunch of different issues occurring.
Mike Cowan is a Memphis cop who has been to DARCY several times.
There are not enough tactical guys on one team to respond to a major event like what we saw in Paris. So we would have to integrate together. And so having the opportunity to train and learn these tactics and then be able to teach these tactics so that we can all be on the same sheet is why we're here.
This is a training you can't get anywhere else.
Lieutenant Chris Amling is a sheriff's deputy in Pulaski County, Arkansas.
When you have a guy that is actively trying to hurt you, and it's not for play, I mean, it's real life, you put a lot more into it, you take your time, your breathing goes up, I mean, everything, it feels real. It really does.
The scenarios keep changing and getting more chaotic throughout the course, and that's done on purpose to keep these guys guessing and make the value of the training even higher.
You have everything from suicide vests to being shot at, it's kind of a full spectrum of violence we're able to simulate for the law enforcement entities that come out here.
And cops are lining up for the training, many taking vacation time and spending their own money to be here because they understand what's at stake.
I mean, it happens here in the States, and we have to prepare for that and be ready for it, whether it's ISIS or whether it's homegrown terrorism. We've got to get this training, we've got to put it on our guys, and we've got to make this real-world experience happen right now.
With the next attack likely a matter of when, not if, these men are spending lots of late nights at Darcy, making sure they'll be ready.
Knowledge is power, absolutely. The more you know, the more you've experienced, it definitely gives you an edge.
From Little Rock, Arkansas, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Up next, see the mother of all buses and find out why 9 out of 10 women who come aboard decide to keep their babies. Planned Parenthood has unleashed a new business model with huge mega centers. The abortion company now performs almost a third of all abortions in the United States, 70,000 more than a decade ago. But as Heather Sells shows us, pro-lifers are fighting back with a simple technology that comes on wheels.
6 days a week, this big blue bus parks outside Planned Parenthood's huge abortion center in Houston. It's no doubt a major irritant, if not outright threat to the corporation's bottom line. That's because the bus offers free ultrasound images and pregnancy tests to any woman in need.
Life and death decisions are literally made on this bus. Thousands of women have stepped aboard it since it first opened, and the majority of them have decided to keep their unborn children.
I love to be able to tell people about the bus.
It is so important. It's so easy to say, honey, we have help right here, right behind you in the bus.
For the volunteer prayer warriors and sidewalk counselors, the bus functions as the perfect resource. A sanctuary easily accessible to women coming and going right before their abortion.
Because there's a 24-hour waiting period, they will go into the facility for their ultrasound, then they come out afterwards, and then they go back in again for the abortion. And so the hope is that they will be able to pass a prayer warrior who will be able to hand them one of these cards at any given time.
That happened to Rochelle Scott, who thought she had to abort because she couldn't afford a second child. Her son Alan lives and thrives today thanks to the bus.
As soon as I saw him on the ultrasound and they let me hear the heart, I started crying. Like that was it.
What happens here is simple yet stunning. 9 out of 10 women who come aboard keep their baby. Even those who only moments earlier prepared to end their child's life just across the street.
Initially, they're very kind of nervous, confused, shocked. You can tell it on their face. They really don't want to, don't want to see it because they know that might change their mind.
They usually start crying as we begin and cover their eyes. And as we're continuing with the ultrasound, they start peeking out between their fingers. And we call it a baby and we call them mom. And look, your baby's sucking his thumb. Oh, he has the hiccups. And the next thing we know, they're smiling and crying at the same time.
Park says the power of this moment, helping a pregnant woman understand her new identity and the reality of her child, cannot be underestimated. She and all who operate the ultrasound machine will spend as much time as needed with the new moms.
She stays on that table until she decides she wants the baby.
More than 7,000 women have visited the bus since it opened 4 years ago. Nationwide, more than 1,000 crisis pregnancy centers, including a few mobile units, also offer free ultrasounds. One of the largest organizations, CareNet, estimates it has helped to save almost 400,000 babies. At the same time, Planned Parenthood is opening more mega centers, virtual abortion mills of 10,000 square feet or more. Unfortunately, their business model appears to have paid off, resulting in 70,000 more abortions a year compared to 10 years ago.
It really weighs heavy on us when we see a mom who comes and she sees her baby and we show her the models and, show her the heartbeat, play it for her back, and she still goes over there.
For Rochelle Scott, little Alan is a sweet daily reminder of her decision. She says both her boys have given her more determination to live her life well. and have inspired her to write a poem about her experience.
So now I'm laid out on a hospital bed forgetting my faith, thinking that in killing, there's peace. Please. And then God kicks in. And well, a couple of months later, I have you, and you're crying, and I'm singing, hush, little baby, don't you cry. The sound of your voice, Alan, is priceless.
Reporting in Houston, Heather Sells, CBN News.
An amazing resource for women. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hillsong Church and the Trinity Broadcasting Network are partnering together to reach millions of people with the gospel. Today marks the launch of a new ministry network called the Hillsong Channel. Viewers will have access around the clock to Hillsong's international conferences, teaching, and powerful worship. Following its launch, the channel will be available to more than 77 million households here in the U.S. and 100 million worldwide. That's it for now on CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care about most at cbnnews.com. And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.